Is my screen visible?
Yeah, able to see.
Okay. Okay, yesterday, just 2 minutes, I'll just brief you about what we discussed yesterday, right? So what was the traditional model, which is waterfall model, and what was the challenges by following the traditional model? And how can we overcome using the agile practices? And what are the best tools to automate the agile practices? So for that, the DevOps is used. Even if you are using the DevOps, the entire world is facing the security problem these days. So that's why people started using DevSecOps, right? What is DevSecOps? Integrating security at every phase, basically, is nothing but a DevSecOps. Like if we take DevOps, right, there will be coding, building, testing, and delivery. So for that, integrating the security features and tools at every phase, right? There will be certain features and tools or practices which you need to follow or integrate at every phase of your DevOps model. That is nothing but DevSecOps. So this is the DevSecOps lifecycle, right? And what are the different tools we are using in the process of DevOps and DevSecOps? These are the tools. The first box is for DevOps, and the second box is for the security tools, right? Again, so these are the major phases. This is DevOps, Azure DevOps, basically. Aditya. This demo is for Azure DevOps. Okay. So these are the major phases, right? If it's the version control system and the CI server and your testing, then artifacts, then deployment and integration and monitoring. For these are the major tools which are available in the market. I mean, which is highly used basically. Most of the companies like GitHub, Jenkins, and Nexus, and Docker, Kubernetes, Puppet, or Ansible, or ELK, or Nagios, or Ajapix, many things, right? So these are the security tools which we can integrate at every phase of this DevOps model, like Fortify, Coality, McAfee, SonarQube, right? So this is nothing but a DevSecOps. So what is the disadvantage by here is there are a lot of tools and there is no connection between these tools, like your source code to CI server, CI to test to artifacts. There is no proper connection. Basically, you need to work on integration part also. You need to write your own code or you need to write your own plugins to integrate or join basically these dots. Right? That is the major problem. So as a engineer, it will be really difficult for us to learn, and you should have a lot of exposure to do these things. So that's where the Azure DevOps is helping by minimizing this learning curve. So what they have done, they have integrated all these tools into a single software, which is nothing but DevOps, Azure DevOps, right? So Azure DevOps is a SaaS, basically, software as a service, where you have all the tools, whatever is required to fulfill your DevOps or DevSecOps practices. That is nothing but a DevSecOps. There are majorly 5 components in the Azure DevOps. One is Azure Boards, Azure Repos, Azure Pipelines, Azure Test Plans, and Azure Artifacts. So this is what we discussed yesterday, right? And I showed you also how these things. So whatever we discussed for a project, if we take, these are the 5 components like boards, repos, pipelines, test plans, and artifacts. We'll see each and every one in detail. Okay. So before that, let us understand what is the life cycle of Azure DevOps. Any doubts so far for new joinees? If you want to explain more on something, I can. Okay, not an issue. So if you take right any project, it will start with the functional requirements, right? So there will be a requirement gathering team who will be collecting the information from the customer end. So they will come up with a list of requirements and they will document it and they will send it to the next level. So here, in terms of Azure DevOps, once you have the requirements here, that will be converted into work items, where in Azure boards. What are the Azure boards are used for? It is basically a planning, for work planning. What kind of thing? Business analysts and product owners translate these requirements, whatever has been gathered here, into a backlog items, right? Then the respective engineers, there will be a backlogs for development, there will be a backlogs for QA, there will be a backlogs for your build and release team, there will be a backlogs for security teams. So based on the work item and backlog, the respective engineers, right, they will start sprints basically. Everybody knows, I think, what is sprint, right? So even that sprint planning can be done in the boards. I'll show you. There are a lot of advantages by integrating it with the boards. So once the sprint planning is done, the respective backlog items will get assigned it to the respective developers or the engineers, whoever is responsible for it, right? Then developers will pick those things, whatever the backlog items which are relevant to or assigned to them. Then they will start working on it, right? Development basically. Initially, development will be there, right? Once that is done, they will be checking in or committing the source code into version control systems. So there is something called pull request mechanism. So where they will be using a repository like Git or GitHub, right? Yesterday I was talking about, most of you don't know what is repository, right? Okay. See, if we take a project, right? We really don't know how many years it will run, right? There are projects which are running for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years also. Now, if we take as an individual developer, assume developer 1, developer 2, developer 3, developer 4. Okay. He will be modifying the changes every day, right? So where he is going to save the changes, what he's modifying every day? So he has to save in his local system, right? Let's say it will be like file 1, developer 1, right? Okay. Developer 1 followed by file 1, then followed by date, today's date maybe, right? Then second day, same developer 1 followed by file 1 or 2, right? It can be multiple files also. Then followed by date. Like this, if you start maintaining n number of versions every day, right? So how many versions it will become? Imagine after a year, do you really want to maintain so many versions like this? Date 1, date 2, date 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, like that. So it will be a big headache, right? Over a period of time. And we really can't remember, assume in maybe after 2 years, you have released it. After 2, 3 years, the customer has come back with the bug. If you maintain like this, right, in your system, how can we navigate, or how can you point out to the version or the point where it was given it to the customer so and so day, right? So it is really difficult. That is one problem. And assume if you have a team of maybe 4 members, I'll just talk about this. 4 members are working on a project. Okay. Now, these 4 members, they need to share the code between them, right? Developer 1, whatever has maybe the file 1, which is relevant to file 2. Take an example of Office 365, right? So if we take Office 365, what are the different components we get? Like Office, Microsoft Office, you'll get your Microsoft Excel, you'll get your Microsoft Word and Outlook, all those things. If we take, there are few common things like file, save as, save, print, right? All these are open or new. These things are common things, right? Maybe one developer will be working on that. The same thing can be used for across the development team. Whoever is, though this guy will be working for Excel, this guy will be working for Outlook, this guy may be working for Word. This way will be working for PPT, PowerPoint. But there are some common modules which they need to share between them. So how can they share? I mean, assume this guy is working in US, this guy is working in India. He cannot work 24/7, right? Just to share this code between the other developers or teams, right? So sharing is another problem. What are the first thing? Versioning. Second one is sharing, right? And do you see any other problems by maintaining in your local? Anyone? Hope I'm audible, right?
Yeah, we're able to hear you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so this is another problem. Another major problem is security, right? What is the guarantee that this guy, whatever the source code changes he is maintaining in his local laptop, there is no proper security which is taken care with respect to individual, right? And anyone can come. Maybe if I have access to his laptop or the VM or whichever has been assigned to this particular developer, right? So anyone can do anything. There is no proper security. Another one is restoring. Backup, basically restoring. So over a period of time, if you want to restore it back, it will be really difficult. So to manage all these things, there is something called version control system. Okay. One message saving. Yes, saving also. Right. This is called repo. People call it as repo. It can be any repository. Okay, repository. So basically, what happens, right? As soon as some change happen here, maybe file 1, this guy will move his changes to a repository. Now, the headache of maintaining the versioning and all those things is repositories headache. So it is internally it is taken care, right? This is another tool which will be taken care of all these problems, right? Even sharing, as soon as he commits here, pushes the changes to central repository, and this is available for other developer to read from here, right? Bidirectional always. Same thing. Similarly, he can also do whatever he wants here. Okay. Even this guy can do. Everything is connected to repository. Everybody basically, right? So now here you have a separate team, basically most of the time DevOps team, who will manage your access control so that your security is taken care. Because you are pushing your changes, your sharing is taken care, right? And anytime this will maintain the revisions, revision 1, revision 2, revision 3, like that. So anytime you can restore it back, right? And versioning is taken care because for every commit it will create a new version. So these are the major things, advantages of having the version control system. Is it clear now? Okay, we'll go back to. Okay. So as soon as the developers are done with their changes, there are again certain process within that, moving from here to here. With respect to Git, there is a local repository. The commit, everything will happen in local repository. Once the reviews, everything is done, then it will be pushed it to the remote repository. Okay. So this is the point. So developer finishes off their code changes and send the code for pull request and collaborate with code reviewers. There will be code reviewers, right? If you take a team, there will be the freshers will be there or the interns will be there, many teams, right? We cannot allow them, everyone to blindly commit their changes, right? There should be a review mechanism. That's where the pull request mechanism will come into the picture. So whoever has done some change, they need to create a pull request. The senior folks or the leads will review that. If everything is okay and everybody is following the basically there will be standards, right? Your coding standards will be there. So everybody has to follow those guidelines. So whether you are following it or not, so everything will get reviewed, then it will be approved. Then it will go to the remote repositories or integration repositories. Okay. So once that is done, then it will go to the build and release team. So what they do build in the build and release So basically build and release is nothing but you're compiling your source code into objects. If you take any software, so what is the format or options you will get to install any software? Anyone? If you want to install any software, take any software. If you want to install Google Chrome, how will you install?
Just go to the website and download the respective software and install in the respective machine.
Exactly. What is that software you are downloading? Any idea?
So we are like, it's basically supports like Windows, might be it's a format of .exe file, and we are installing the file.
Right. And yes, exactly. The .exe, right, which is executable. So
Yes.
.exe, .bins, right? All these things, jar, var, all those things. These are the outcome of build, right? So first, assume there is a Java code. So that Java code will get converted into, first, if you do the compilation, right? So what happens? So generally, if you take any source code, right, it can be a .java, .c, .cpp, anything, right? .java example. So once you do the build, this .java file is in readable format. Anyone can read what is there, what logic, what kind of code, what modules are there. Now, if you do the build, what build does, it will compile this source code, then it will convert into .class file, which is kind of junk values, which you cannot even understand, right? These kind of, there will be, if you take a project, there will be thousands of files. So for every .java file, there will be equivalent .class file. I'm just taking an example of Java, okay, right? So the combination of these .class files will be packaged or bundled it as .jars, okay? Then again, these .jars will get packaged into .var, right? So ultimately, people will deploy this .var file into the web applications. Like Tomcat is one of the web server example, right? So this will, .var file will get deployed into Tomcat. Then automatically your application will pick this content, whatever is there, then the same thing will reflect in our website. Okay, that's what they do in the build part. Here, build gets triggered after every code commit. This is again integrated. As a build engineer, you no need to wait. There are pipelines to do that. I will talk about that. So once you enable the pipeline, automatically as soon as some check-in or commit or push happens here based on your conditions, whatever has been defined. So automatically build will get triggered. Once the build is done, the packaging part, everything will be done. Then on successful build and unit testing run, we can integrate some batch, basically basic acceptance testings, right? So automatically this will get deployed using your CI/CD pipeline into multiple environments. Assume you have development environment, QA environment, and pre-production, production, for example. Again, depends on your project requirement, right? So just follow the numbers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever the numbers are given here, right? So once the packaging is done, this will be deployed into testing environment, right? That is 7. Once 7 is done, 7.1. Again, testing will happen here. If testing everything is okay, then once the build is deployed, testers start testing, then everything is working. Assume if everything is working as expected, then it will be given into the 9. What is 9? UAT basically. In case of any issues, again, the issues will get registered in your boards, right? Even your bug tracking tool is nothing but a board here. Everything, boards are common for your functional gathering or your sprints and your bug tracking, all those things, many things, right? And the beauty of this is whatever the request has been enabled here or created here, that will be connected here. Assume you can link it, basically everything can link, you can link it. I'll show you that how to link also. Okay, assume if you modify, assume this guy QA has created one request here, so maybe you will get some n number 1 2 3 4. So for that 1, 2, 3, 4, if some updates happen, automatically in the entire dashboard will get refreshed, right? It can be a repos, it can be a CI/CD pipelines, it can be testing or boards everywhere. It will reflect. I'll show you that how to connect all the points. Okay. Once the testing is done, then it will be deployed into the UAT. This is where the end user will test, right? Again, in UAT, there is a possibility of finding issues. In case if there is an issue, again, report it here in the boards. Okay. Similarly, once you report it, again, the respective developer will take this, or someone will be assigned to the whoever is authorized person here to the respective developer. Then they will do same cycle. It will repeat here, right? Once the UAT is successfully completed and if it is working as expected, then it will be deployed into the production. Clear? This is the workflow which we are going to work in our entire session, starting from requirement gathering. So I'll show you how to enter all those things, how to create basically a board, Kanban board, all those things. Then once you have the list of requirements here, then automatically how to assign it to the developers. And assume I'm going to there will be multiple. We'll take 2, 3 examples of 2, 3 developers. So if multiple developers are working, then how the conflicts and all those things will do, and how they are going to commit into the version control systems. Once commit is done, we'll create a pipelines, both classic pipeline and AML pipelines. Then how this AML pipeline will automatically pick the changes as soon as something happen here, and it will deploy into production. We'll try to replicate all these 3 environments. One is dev, QA, and production. We'll deploy our object, whatever has been generated here, basically a DLL or WAR file or whichever it is, right? Then it will go to the production. So this entire flow we are going to repeat. In another way of representing Azure boards, right, where you have your backlogs and work items, the developers will work on the list, whatever is given here, using some whatever the example Visual Studio I have given here. So then it will be pushed into the Azure repository, which is equivalent to your Git and GitHub. Okay. Then automatically, how your CI pipeline. Basically, there are 2 pipelines, CI pipeline and CD pipeline, right? Here we call it as Azure build pipelines and Azure release pipelines. So in CI pipeline, what happens? First it will go and fetch the source code, whatever has been checked in here or committed here. Then it will install the prerequisites if something is required. Once that is done, then it will do the build. Once build is done, then automatically your objects will be generated. Then it will run the test, right? The basic things, whatever is required. If it is okay, and package it and publish these artifacts. Artifacts are nothing but someone just told, right? .exe. That is nothing but an artifact, build artifacts basically, right? .dll, or it can be, it is another artifact, right? .bin is another, .so, right? Even ISOs, right? All these things are artifacts, build artifacts. Once your build artifacts are ready in CI pipeline, then your CD pipeline automatically will take these objects, whatever has been published here, and it will deploy into development, QA, and production. I just represented here these 3. So it completely depends on your project requirement. It can be more, it can be less also. Okay. Here we see development, QA, production, basically pre-production and production both. Right? This is what exactly in live application we are going to show to understand. Simple. This is what in each and every day the developers and entire project team basically is. Developers does the development, then build team will take care of building, then deployment team will deploy that, and testing team will do the testing in between. Is it clear? Any doubt? So what are the benefits of Azure DevOps? The application is easy to install and takes only few minutes. It won't take much time. It is very, very easy. And it will support all the platforms like Java, Node, Node.js or PHP, .NET and Python, anything, right? Anyone can work on with any language. And you can start your own app or bring a new app from Git as a DevOps project, right? And yesterday also I showed you, right? Don't think that this will support only the Microsoft tools. You have your marketplace, browse marketplace and install whichever tool you want in the form of extensions, basically. Now, if you want to work with AWS, basically integrate, there are plugins for that, AWS. If you want to integrate Terraform, Terraform also. And if you want to use the Vault for your security, you have Vault here, right? And in case if you want say any security tool, right? Sonar Cube, Sonar Cloud, everything is there. Just click on that and install. Get it for free. Right? It's all free. So you can install all these things. Clear? I'll pause it here for some time. I'll take up any questions if you have. You can ask in general questions also because you can see half of them are, I think, first session today. Oh, so silent. That means whether it is completely understood or not at all. Which one I should consider?
Hey, actually, this is Anil. Yesterday I didn't join the class, so actually I'm talking in mute. I realized that I'm talking in mute. So I have just few questions. Okay, so may I know your name, please?
Bhaskar.
Bhaskar. Hi, Bhaskar.
Hi.
So basically, see, I'm working in some Linux and AWS environment, and as well as the Azure. So I'm dealing with just basic things in the Azure point of view, but I'm a L3 engineer into the Linux platform. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm planning to switch over my career into the Azure DevOps. So like basically, like what are the tools? Is yesterday I didn't join. So basically, for today I don't want to disturb the class, so that's the reason I have let it be gone. So yesterday, like what are the sessions has been covered? So basically, like what is requirements from my point of view to join this class? So those kind of things I want to understand.
Okay. And see, since you are already working in a Linux side and you said you know already AWS side, right? Definitely this will be a very good thing for you. So yesterday what we discussed is these are the things. In general only what we discussed. What are the challenges with the traditional model and what is the major problem between development team and operations team, and how can we overcome using your Azure DevOps or any DevOps, right?
Okay.
That's what we discussed. And these are the tools we talked about a little bit, not much again, right? For source code management, we will be using GitHub in this entire
Okay.
course. And for CI servers, we will be using Azure pipelines,
Mm-hmm.
CI/CD, both basically. Yeah, right. You have your going for it. Yeah. Take here. These are the pipelines which we have multiple pipelines like CI pipeline and release pipelines. We'll be going through with this. And yesterday someone was asking, is there, I mean, do we need any coding knowledge, all those things? Definitely not mandatory because Azure DevOps is providing a lot of templates here for most of the work, right? You can use that. And you have a GUI also with the Azure. So you can start using that. And with respect to tools, right, there are so many tools, Anil. We cannot, what is say, based on the requirement or demand, what project demands, right? The tools will get decided. What is important for a DevOps engineer is like the concept, right? Okay, since you said your Linux administration, what is the difference between Ubuntu and CentOS?
See, both are into the open source, but coming to the Red Hat and Ubuntu, in the sense, a lot of the commands is going to be different. So here, like for the package management, we are using the dpkg and the apt-get, and coming to here, we are using the am and the rpm, and also the kernel versions. So kernels might be here is a Linux generic. Here is like into the kernel default, like that. So based on and also like it's a both are into the free source, but the CentOS is derived from the Red Hat, so where they have given as a free source.
Okay, that is absolutely fine. Now, if you know CentOS, is it very difficult to work on Ubuntu?
No, it's pretty much simple. The commands may get vary.
Exactly. Same thing here also. You may have Ansible, Puppet, Chef for deployment. If you know the Ansible, maybe your project, based on your project, it's very easy for you to
see, I'm 100% confident on like currently right now into the Ansible, and as well as a little bit on Cloud Touch as AWS, Azure, and as well as the completely Linux.
Right. Now, what I'm trying to convey here is there are so many tools in the DevOps, okay, DevOps and DevSecOps. So if you know one tool, it will be very easy to switch to any other tool because you know already what is the concept. So that's what I'm correct. Tools perspective.
So here we are not going for any
major
tool-based DevOps. Here we are not going for any tool-based DevOps. Directly we are into the Azure-based DevOps, right?
Azure DevOps, and we'll be using tools also. Example, we'll use GitHub, which is exactly equivalent to your GitHub. And in fact, we'll integrate the Jenkins also, right?
Okay.
And we'll use the Ansible also. And we'll use Terraform templates. We'll use ARM templates.
Okay.
And we'll be using your, let's say, SonarQube. We'll integrate this to your DevOps, Azure DevOps.
Okay.
With respect to Azure, you have two things. One is dev.azure.com and portal.azure.com. Your portal.azure.com is the one where all the cloud resources are maintained. This is purely for the DevOps. Okay. We need to connect this with, there is something called service connections. Okay. So using the service hooks, we will connect your cloud and your DevOps.
Okay.
Okay. Any other doubts?
Yes, we are going to explain only DevOps, so or any Azure core service also going to expect?
This is Azure DevOps. So it's a combination of Azure and DevOps both.
Okay.
If we take Azure, right?
Yeah.
Let me log into Azure also. See, what is Azure? Azure has a lot of resources.
Yes, n number of services is providing.
N number of services are there.
Yeah.
So example, if we take an example of what I have represented somewhere here, this one, right?
Yeah.
So we'll be deploying our application. We'll develop a small application.
Yeah.
From development to what they do, all those things. Starting from development, we'll modify we'll set up the project, we'll create the code, we'll modify like a developer. Then we'll deploy into 2-3 resources like a VM or app service.
Yeah.
If you want to deploy into app service, you have to come here.
Yes.
App services.
Yeah, app services.
You connect your DevOps and app service both. Here I will be creating multiple environments in my my cloud only, Azure cloud only. Like QA environment, whatever you see here.
Yeah.
This environment, QA environment, development environment, production environment, I'm going to create in cloud.
Yeah.
Azure cloud.
Actually, I'm from backend developer. Currently, I'm working with the Spring Boot. So what are the tools need? I mean, what are the services need to learn from the Azure portal?
There are so many, right? Majorly, what we'll be using as a DevOps engineer is like we'll be using VM services and we'll be using app services.
Okay.
Right? We'll be using resource groups. We'll be using function apps.
Okay.
Because these are very, very important function apps for your pipelines.
Yeah. Okay.
You can write your functions here and you can put those conditions and link it to your pipelines.
Okay. Again, simply in the PaaS models.
Right. And storage accounts also will be
storage,
using.
Yes. Basically, patch model is the main role of in the Azure.
Right. Okay. You can say patch is one. Not completely. Out of many things, patch is going to be one.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Any other doubts? If you have not joined from the starting, please go through the recording sessions. I think they are available so that you can understand and you can decide whether it is suitable for you, what you are looking for. Okay.
Yeah, one more doubt I have. Sorry for interruption.
No problem. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
compared to AWS, what is the current market in the Azure DevOps?
See, slowly Azure is actually taking over compared to AWS. Again, right? See what happens in most of the scenarios, right? Assume at least for the projects which I worked and I am working right now, right? So they need the support from all the platforms. We are supporting in AWS, we are supporting in Azure, we are supporting in GCP also, right? See, customers, we cannot, let's say, I'll take the example again. You have your Netflix, you have your Hotstar, you have your Amazon Prime, all those things, right? If the
Yeah.
movie is really good, so they will publish in multiple platforms, right?
Yes, yes.
Why? Because there will be a subscribers who are only on Netflix. There are
Yeah.
subscribers who are only on Amazon.
Yeah.
So similarly, here also your project, if you have a customers in all the platforms, so you have to support all.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Any other doubts? So what we'll do, we'll have a proper document. So we'll follow this document so that it will be easy for you to understand uh, what has been discussed in the class. Okay. I just want to show somebody was asking either someone, right? What are the tools? See here, there are so many tools. Most of them are open source. But advantage is if you know one tool, so it is very easy to use other tool also if your project is really demanding.
I mean, similar kind of tools or
Similar, because the purpose is same.
okay. Yes, purpose is same.
See, I may be good in writing my playbooks, so I'll use Ansible example. I may be good in
Yeah,
so that way.
yeah. Then we should be we should also be aware of the number of applications that are going to be used and what
Right.
kind of application is used for what which purpose.
Correct. Okay, I'll pause it here. From next session, I'll start the actual classes basically, right? Like how to create user introduction basically. There will be this whatever we discussed. It is kind of overall what is as a DevOps engineer or Azure DevOps engineer, all those things. So from next section, we'll go like formally with whatever has been. What is Agile? How Azure DevOps evolved? All those things we discussed. Most of them we discussed already. I'll just touch base, right? Then how to create an account. We'll start with that in Azure. Once you have the accounts, then I'll show you how to create organizations and how to create your projects. Then we'll play around with the options what we have in Azure DevOps portal. Okay, start here. Yeah. How to create organizations, all those things, and how to create a project. It's going to be like real-time project. There is no difference. Only size is the difference. There you may have so many executables, so many objects. Here we have very few limited, very small project. Process, commands, everything remains same, whether it is a small project or big project. That's what we are going to do. Complete live project. Okay. Yeah. If there are any questions, I'll take it up. Otherwise, see you on next.
I just have one doubt.
Yes, Karthik.
So how much knowledge of Linux we need? A basic shell scripting is enough, or
See,
we need more coding on Linux?
having Linux is definitely an added advantage. Okay. But with respect to Azure DevOps, again, it's not mandatory that if you want to use all these functions, if you are well versed with options which are available here, example, we take right. This is the as a Azure DevOps engineer, what you need to do, whatever we discussed, right? We have our example repos. I think yesterday I explained the same thing someone has asked. I'll just repeat it. If you want to create a pipeline in general, you need a lot of coding. Here, that is not required with Azure DevOps, right? There are predefined templates. Example, if we take, see here, you are getting already pre-populated values here. Select the respective version control system, Azure or Azure DevOps, whatever it is, right? GitHub or Bitbucket or Subversion. So the respective list will be added here. Now just select the branch on which you want to create a pipeline. Then again, you see here, these are called templates. Lot of templates are there. Select the template, whichever is suitable for your requirement. Example, if you're working on Android, you just select this. If it is an ASP.NET, select this. If it is Azure Web App, select this. If it is a Java, select Maven. If it is a Docker container, select it. What are we going to get by selecting this? Right? What is required to, example, if you take a ASP.NET project, okay? Just apply. Your setup is done. See what is required here. You restore, you build, your test, publish artifact, everything is already there. Did I do any coding here? Did I do any Linux work here? No, because everything is taken care in the agent backend. Because of templates, what has been defined already, right? So here you just need to specify, select the agent. Again, where you want to build, whether it is Windows or CentOS or Ubuntu or Mac, wherever you want, you select. Let's say Ubuntu, you want to build this. Select the parameter and what projects you want to build. This is for to build all the projects. But if you want to build only one project, select the only one project, right? And similarly for the build, select whatever is required here. Just pass the arguments what is required for your build, right? So there are a lot of advantages with Azure DevOps. Your learning curve is very, very simple because of the predefined templates. Even if you go to Azure portal, right? I mean, here, a lot of things are automated. As a DevOps engineer, if really something is required, you can take help of the development team or whoever is the expert in that particular area.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So, and I hope no other coding is required apart from Linux, a little bit, but that is also not required as you said. But I don't think so. Any other coding is also required mostly.
That's what. Yeah, if your project is really demanding that, definitely you can take help of other team members. But as a DevOps engineer, you cannot be a knowing basics. Definitely will be an added advantage because you need to understand, right? Even if you take help from the respective teams, right? So if you know the basics, that will help you in a lot.
Sure. Thank you. And last one question. So how
Yes.
does this getting charged actually? This DevOps know how much we used on the storage it is taking the charges, or the number of users it's getting charged.
See, tomorrow I'm going to talk about that. Just since you asked, this Azure has two options for this course perspective. So they will credit some 15K for you, around 13 change. Okay, points they'll call it as, which is equal to money. Okay, even if you are using the paid services, they will deduct from that amount. Until and unless if you upgrade your subscriptions, there is something called subscriptions here to pay as you go mode. Okay, that means whatever you are going to use, only you are going to pay for that. Okay.
According to the subscriptions only.
Sure.
It's not about
based on
it's not
subscription.
yes. According to our utilization, depending on the subscriptions, will be built.
Just use it and delete it immediately so that your usage will be less. I have pay as you go more subscription. So whatever I'm going to use only for that I'm going to pay. Assume if I'm going to use for 1 hour, I'm going to pay only for that 1 hour. But for your practice, I think for free of cost you can learn things. I'll teach you only that in that free of cost point of view only.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
And I have a small query. I mean, it's not about this concepts and everything, but let's just consider if we finish this number of sessions, like 45 sessions, and then let's consider it will take approximately like around 2
Charan,
months.
sorry, there's a lot of background noise.
Okay. Is it clear now?
Okay, yeah, you can go ahead. Still there, but okay.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is, let's just say you have told us like the sessions. I mean, totally we will be having 45 sessions, and it might be around 2 months. And then let's just say, I mean, once we are good with the concepts and everything, so what is the probability of getting placed? Because currently I can see a number of openings in most of the companies, but do we have any hurdles or anything else in terms of placement? Will we? Or, even yesterday also somebody asked how many people got placed from Raleigh or BCP or Azure trainings from this institute.
See, hurdles in the sense, okay, it completely depends, right? Uh, if this see, DevOps is kind of, yesterday also I told the same thing, right? DevOps is the critical role, right? If you take any project, you are the one who is going to release, right, your objects to the customers, your project to the customer. You are the one who is integrating everything. You are the one who is going to coordinate with multiple teams and it be releasing it to the customers. Okay. So based in this process, DevOps is not a single, like a developer, what he's going to do, he's going to do the development. What the tester will do, he's going to do the testing, right? What IT administrator will do, he will manage he will create a VM, he will do that, whatever the maintenance, finding all those things. But as a DevOps engineer, right, your role will be there in from each and every place. Okay. Maybe if you are good at version controlling system, you will end up working only in Git and GitHub. If you are good at pipelines, you will end up in pipelines, right? If you are good at Jenkins, you will end up working only on Jenkins, right? If you are good at deployment, maybe like writing Ansible playbooks, right? Or maybe Terraform templates. So you will be placed at Terraform templates. So what it matters here is your interest, okay? And in which area you are more interested. And assume DevOps definitely will give you a very good opportunity if you can Google it. What are the opportunities you have for the DevOps roles now? Every company is moving towards DevOps practices now because the efficiency and overall the cost wise how they are going to save and the release, right? The turnaround times have drastically reduced because of these practices. So in all these aspects, assume if you are really interested in writing something, assume a deployment point of view, learn something in detail, maybe further on Ansible. And if you are really good in analysis side, learn something which are monitoring tools, which will give a lot of data reports, analyze that and give the which is very, very useful for most of the teams. So it depends.
Okay.
If we take my team, there are 40 in my team. Everybody is a DevOps engineer. Do you think everybody is doing the same thing? No, definitely not. Few people will be working on different things.
Understood.
Okay, then there are no questions. See you in next session. Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.